The views and opinions of those appearing in this program is not that of Perfect Trust Productions, LLC. This trip had been in the works for quite a long time, before Vanessa moved to Virginia, actually. We packed up for the day and headed off to the Mary Washington house. We've been looking forward to this trip for some time. We were even joined by BPI's Chris Loper. The Mary Washington house. George Washington purchased the home located at 1200 Charles Street, Fredericksburg, Virginia, in 1772 from Michael Robinson for his mother, Mary Ball Washington. There, Mary would live the rest of her life for 17 years before her death in 1789 from breast cancer. The structure was built in 1759 on land previously owned by Mary Washington's son-in-law, Fielding Lewis. We were anticipating of meeting our friend and the manager of the Mary Washington house, Michelle Hamilton, who is also a best-selling author.
I cannot get, it's either Maddie or Hattie, I cannot get them. Actually, 5'3", 220 pounds, the very, very, very much the large, busted, large-hipped black woman. Okay. That I just cannot get. I'm not saying she was a worker, right? But she was important in this area. Okay. Very, very, very much important in this area. She almost feels like she looks like the woman to me from Gone with the Wind that said, "I ain't birthed enough babies." Yeah. Okay. That's who she looks like, and that's the feel that she has, but with more authority and more dignity. Okay. Dignity is, I mean, she carried herself very, very well.
Again, so many people came through this house, even from Mary.
Yeah. Can you tell what time frame she was in? Was she here when Mary was here?
I don't think so. This actually feels like it would have been.
The slavery was here till 65. So.
Yeah, this actually feels later than that. This almost feels like 1930s.
Actually, I think I kind of know who you're talking about. There was a black woman in the postcards they used to sell here. Yeah. I think I know who you're talking about.
About that time frame?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it feels about 1930s.
They took her in the old kitchen, and they had her sitting there, and they sold for postcards, and there was a black woman. I don't know who she was, but yeah, there was a African-American woman who would pose for postcards.
With dignity.
Yeah, because she just kind of sits there. She's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very much in repose.
There's a secret history of Virginia that we don't like to talk about in the museum world. The first tour guides of historic properties were African Americans. Mm-hmm. The first tour guides at Monticello were African Americans. The first tour guides at Mount Vernon were African Americans until the whites came in and pushed them out.
See, that angers me.
And we don't talk about that. But like our first tour guides in the state were African Americans.
That angers me so much that they weren't.
And then the 40s, 50s came in, and the white women came in, and they all lost their jobs. And
wow, I shouldn't be surprised. I really shouldn't be surprised.
When African American visitors came here in the early 1900s, they had to sign on the back of the visitor's manual. So, I mean, you're welcome to Virginia. You're going to see some ugly history.
True, but we're also going to air it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got those guest registries where the coloreds had to sign in the back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Crow flies.
As the crow flies.
If I was to be able to walk through the walls and go to the very corner room over there on the back side, is that where paperwork and important?
Very possible.
Okay.
Once we walk through, I'll have you.
I need to go over there.
Sure.
There's something missing.
In here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
this area right over in here, why was that altered?
The porch, it was added on.
Okay, not just that. Come over here with me. See that little part, the white, that looks like part of the house or the building right over there? There's something different from that point to this point, and it's not just the porch. Did they find the stuff that had been buried in the ground?
We're processing and trying to find stuff. I would love to have our archaeological dig here, but
You need it.
because right under us is where we'll find stuff from the kitchen trash is under us.
Okay, yeah, because it's all, because this all obviously is relatively new, but this wasn't the setup of it when it was first here.
No.
So it's between the corner of that house, that part of the house right over there, to this. This right here is the area that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, we're finding a lot of trash and stuff when the rain comes through.
Okay.
In fact, just realized this is some of the stuff we just find in the garden this last year. This is all,
Oh wow.
when it rains, things come up to the ground.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
The kids laugh. They laugh up over there though.
Huh?
The kids.
Oh, the boys' school?
They laugh over there. Have you ever caught that on EVP?
No. But one time my boss Athos used to be in there, and one time she walked in and she brought out her diet Dr. Pepper, and she had the bottle, and when she came back in, the bottle was upside down.
I'm sorry. That's funny. That's some funny stuff.
I like fart jokes.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
We've had reactions on like the
Typical
KT
boys.
meters.
Yes.
That's
to
hilarious.
fart jokes. Yeah.
The upstairs area is where I hear a lot of laughter.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's in stages. It's in stages of ages.
There was a boys' school here in the 1800s.
I'd love to take her upstairs.
Yeah, I'll take her upstairs when we're done. My DER chapter used to have meetings here. And they used to keep their supplies upstairs, and some of the ladies didn't like going up there because they would get spooked up there.
They're kids.
I keep telling them as kids,
Yeah. Now.
see, I used to work at the Whaley House, and everything that happens here is nothing compared to the Whaley House.
What was there somebody that lived here? I don't know what time frame, but that either had a head issue or had a head injury.
I've heard that from other mediums.
Because it's right, almost like if you were to go through the top of my head, and I can't tell if something hit them, if something fell on them, if they fell, or if it was like an aneurysm or something like that. But it's quite painful.
Again, after Mary's period, this was actually used as a duplex in the 1800s. So one family lived on that side of the house, another family lived on this side of the house. So there's so many people that have come through here, it's hard to tell.
Has it only ever been, aside from the boys' home, a residence?
Yeah, it was a residence until the 1890s. So I
But
said one family
after
lived.
that,
And then we had caretakers who would live here on this side of the property.
did you have one of them fall?
Possibly.
If you've seen the staircases going up, it
Very
wouldn't
likely,
surprise me
because
that
this
somebody
side,
would fall.
this side was the caretaker's apartment.
That's got to be what it is.
When you go upstairs later,
That's
you'll
what I'm
understand
thinking.
I call it the stair to death.
Does it have
So
a
it's like-
very low hanging threshold?
It's like right here.
Yeah, walking up the stairs like somebody that would be taller than you.
I nicknamed these the stairs of death. And up until the 1900s, this was actually a lot lower. They raised the roof
That's what it is.
for the caretakers.
That's what it is.
Because the caretakers used to live here. This is their apartment.
Yeah,
Right
I'm
here.
telling you. Yeah,
Right here.
she said they raised the roof.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm like.
In the
it's
early
like-
1900s, this was actually 1.5 stories on this section. But when the caretakers moved in to be an apartment, they gave them because
Yep.
the last caretaker, this was their living room, and their bedroom was back here. Was
That makes so much sense now.
There's a loofah on the floor in the gift shop.
Leave it there. I'll take care of it in a minute.
Yeah, should leave it. So, yeah, we want to see
The
that
children they're moving stuff in the gift shop again.
again.
Did they they find stuff drawn on the walls?
No, but we found stuff on the floorboards.
And in the wall.
In the
shoes.
walls. Yeah. We found a half broken saucer under the floorboards when they were storing here.
Drawn.
Probably, but again, there's been so much painted over.
Because you had I'm not being disrespectful. It's like a pervert in the making.
Probably.
Inappropriate drawings.
Probably. We have little boys up here.
And I mean, I'm only laughing because it wasn't quite anatomically correct.
That's probably boys.
The story is, I can confirm it, that the reverend who ran the voice was a Presbyterian minister, and he was really stern. So I think the voice...
They had a really, really bad nickname for him.
What was it?
It had to do with his weight.
Okay.
So, have you seen pictures of him?
I've seen an older picture of him.
Was he a heavier man?
He had tuberculosis near the end of his life, so it's hard to tell.
Okay. All I can hear is them laughing about it.
Okay.
And it has to do with his weight.
Okay.
And it reminds me of that little child rhyme that I was saying the other night. Do you remember that from years and years ago? Fatty, fatty, 2x4, can't get your big ass out the door. Yeah, like that. Along those lines.
Michelle decided to walk through this room to take us to the gift shop so she could see what was going on with this sponge that mysteriously just jumped out the jar.
That's it, yeah. That's one of your favorite toys, because usually they play with the books.
And knock them over. Did you need to
Gwen.
picture that?
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, let me understand this. This was in the jar?
In the jar.
This is the second time, like in a month, they've done this. That's one of your favorite toy.
Jeez, I feel like I'm in a police academy again.
I know, right?
Usually they just play with the books.
I was aware that Vanessa was going to be doing a reading while we were here at the Mary Washington house. But this unexplained activity, as you can see, the jar is up on the table, and it's got one of those deep lips to it, and then there's one of the sponges.
I would have liked those boys.
And these floorboards are historic.
Yeah, these are Mary's floorboards. This room wasn't here when Mary was here, but the floorboards are from her. They ripped the floorboards up from this room and moved them into here.
Good.
So Mary would have walked on them, George would have walked on them, Martha and Marquita Lafayette probably did as well. It's always so kids come in, rub their hands, get a little DNA.
Wow.
What happened? Marquita Lafayette?
Mm-hmm.
She have a daughter?
Yeah.
Did something bad happen to her daughter?
Betty? Mary's the daughter?
Or Marquita.
Marquita's.
Yeah, they were put in the Bastille. Not the Bastille, but they're put in prison during the...
There's a lot of anger.
Yeah, his wife and daughters were put in prison during the...
A lot of anger. The second you said her name, it just washed over me.
Marquita Lafayette was the one that was, I would say smitten, but very respectful of George. But knowing that
He was his adopted son, pretty much.
yeah, and that it was George's mother that raised him. And so Marquita Lafayette had a great respect and admiration for Mary as well. So he was definitely...
During the French Revolution, Marquita Lafayette's wife and daughters were put in prison.
Ooh. Lot of anger. Lot. It's still.
It destroyed Adrian's house. That's his wife. Marquis and his son escaped because Marquis sent his son George Washington the Lafayette to be with George at the presidential mansion, and Marquis was able to slip over the border into.
Has anybody ever picked up on them in here?
No. Well, the last time, Alex was here. They were getting through the Echo Box French words.
Oh, that's right.
It's like a lot of...
Pushing and pulling.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much anger. And did she suffer, what do you call it? I don't know if it's the mother or the daughter, not Mary, but the other ones. Were they, like, tortured?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll give them something to do later.
Yeah, but when I saw where it came from, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
that didn't just roll off.
The last time they did it, the loofah was like over here, so it was even more like Usually they just play with the books.
Yeah.
Usually we'll walk in and something like up here will be like right in the middle and nothing's being knocked down.
But it's usually right in this vicinity.
Yeah, it's always here.
Huh.
That is just, and that was overwhelming. Because he's the person I feel here. And it is strong. All that he keeps saying to me, and I don't know if this has to do with him or with them or whatever, it's all about the false accusations, and it was so somebody else could progress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does a nephew or anything mean anything?
It's his wife and his daughter, mostly his daughter, that I'm getting. And that is what makes him so angry, is because none of that had to happen. It was based on somebody else's false accusations because they wanted to rise further ahead of him.
They're accusing him of not being loyal to the revolution.
Yes. I can't believe he hasn't come through for other people like this before. I can't believe that. That is insane. Because it was all, I can't see him.
I don't let very many mediums in here.
Okay. I can't see him, but man, he's
pushing in the pulling time so much.
Yes, I think so. He's an interesting character.
And I'm on the Marquita Lafayette Bicentennial Commission because 2024 is the 200th anniversary of him coming back to Fredericksburg. So
wow. So if anyone was going to know what I was telling him was accurate or not, it was going to be you.
I know. I'm not the expert on Marquita, but I know enough about him.
Wow. And I didn't even know he existed. So like it's slightly shorter than the other, or if it was an injury.
Mary Beth had arthritis near the end of her life. Was married, but I'm not sure.
Right leg.
Possibly she had pain near the end of her life, but she was also a horse rider that caused arthritis.
She had more back problems.
Door. Want to see the cracking?
Is there any way to just put the fake one to it?
I want to. We're talking about eventually letting these go back to its original owner.
I would, and just put up a fake one, just to appease her a little bit. The coloring, if I'm seeing it correctly, because she told me that the paint color is off.
I know.
It actually needs to be slightly darker with a touch more gray. Okay.
I know. Yeah, because actually,
And she knows a sage gray, slightly darker with gray.
there's actually a funny reason why colonial Williamsburg paint originally is off color, because they didn't take in fading. So when back in the 30s, when they were peeling back and they found the paint, it looked like this because it had faded, and they hadn't taken into account fading yet.
Oh,
So they were studying and researched the actual materials going into it, they're realizing over time it does fade, so they didn't take into account fading in the 30s at that time. So that's what they
that makes sense.
Yeah, but research and science, they now are taking into account fading.
Her bed sitting room, and then the living area.
Okay, I did that.
Pastor, I said, what is the importance of the shoes? And she goes, good luck. And I'm like, huh? And it's apparently we're going to find out.
Oh, okay. But one of the projects that Mary knows that we are wanting to work on is the bed sitting room.
This was found in the wall.
So,
was found in the wall.
Go check that out. Yeah.
What?
It's called a concealment shoe. It's basically English
Don't
by
take it.
magic. It's good luck.
Oh,
Can she photo it?
I just want visual pleasure.
That is because I didn't know why she was showing me shoes.
It's English by magic. It goes from the medieval period up until the 1950s. It was the Germans did it too. You would put a shoe of a young person or a woman in the walls, and it would bless the people who live in the house.
Wow. Quick question, maybe nothing. Gotta ask. Is there a candle or a scentsy or something like that that you guys will burn, and activity seems to be increased.
Sometimes on cloudy days we put the lights on, but that's about the only thing I can think of.
There is a smell that she does not care for. That it doesn't smell like perfume. It smells like a candle or an air freshener or something like that she does not care for.
Would it be any of the soaps from the gift shop that would have permeate this way?
Possibly.
Because there's never any lit candles.
We know.
Like about right where I'm at now.
It could be. It smells like, I think it might be did you have something in there that's eucalyptus?
Yes.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yes.
What is it?
Okay. I don't know if
That was the angry one and the eucalyptus one.
the eucalyptus.
Oh,
That was hilarious.
That was funny.
That was funny.
That was either Mary doesn't like it or I'm picking up on her. Crazy question. Can I ask you?
Sure.
At any point in time, would have this been a room for multiple people, like kids?
Mhm.
Twin bed on that side, twin bed on that side, with a fireplace in between the two,
Probably, yeah. Probably makes sense.
and then another one over here and another one over here. Feels like there were at least 4 in this room. Maybe 5. One feels like a crib. This is where the coffin came from, though.
Okay.
Coughing.
Coughing.
Oh, coughing.
Coffin.
I did too.
Coughing.
I was like, whoa, what?
Like RSV. Like RSV.
That's a cute room, though.
I like that room.
I do too.
That is the room that was the upstairs to the original house. This would have been the exterior wall to the original house. But George Washington actually slept in there.
Probably why I like that one.
I gotta say, there you go.
I don't feel like this should be a happy place, but I hear joyful banter. It's weird. It's like if this belonged to anybody else, I feel like it would have been a negative space. But it doesn't feel negative to me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, this was actually added in later, so this wasn't during the married period, but
This feels joyful to me. This feels like a communal, almost community place. Figured lots of discussions that shouldn't be had for other people's ears, but in a positive manner is what they're telling me. Now, whether they're telling the truth or not, it could be positive to them, not to anybody else.
right.
But I'm not getting. I'm for whatever reason, those that spent time in here said that they were doing things for the right reasons. Whether we feel that is accurate or not remains to be seen.
Well, that's their time period, so they're going to view through their lens.
Yeah.
We like it or not, you know.
Yeah.
Did this neighborhood take a turn for the worse? But it's getting better now? Yeah. Talking about the riffraff.
Yeah.
Pretty shot. Hold on. She said she saw them in a book. Pretty shot.
In 1890, what was known as the Association for the Preservation of Virginia Antiquities acquired the house and saved it from being dismantled, as it was slated to be reassembled for the Chicago Columbian Exposition for display in 1893. The association, today known as Preservation Virginia, opened the house for display in 1900. After extensive restoration, it was reopened in 1931. We were delighted with the combination of the walkthrough and all the historical knowledge that Michelle and the staff were able to share with us. With the history and the ghost stories, there's plenty of yore and lore at this location. We urge you to stop by and say hi if you're ever in the area. Go by to any of your local historical locations. Make donations, as that's how many of them are still able to operate. We thank you for joining us on this episode of Yore and Lore. See you on the next one.